Which European used car markets are balancing on a knife edge? Why is Nissan cutting jobs? And what is Toyota's latest commitment to the US? This is the Automotive Update, presented by Autovista24. I'm Autovista24 journalist Tom Hooker, here with the latest edition of the Automotive Update. I'm here to take you through the biggest automotive news from the past 7 days. Now, with inflation and economic uncertainty continuing to rise in many countries, more buyers are being pushed into the used car sector. But does this mean that the biggest markets in Europe are actually seeing growth? Here to discuss their performance with me is our special content editor, Phil Curry.
Hi Tom, great to be here.
And it's great to have you with us. Firstly, let's take a step back. Which markets are we actually looking at here? And what are their main differences? And maybe also just touch on why it's so important to know the trends occurring in them, as opposed to the new car market.
Well, the big 5 European automotive markets comprises of France, Germany, Italy, Spain and the UK. Each has different trends based upon powertrain popularity amongst buyers, and this may be down to the concentration of buyers in urban and rural areas and economic factors. And looking at the used car market not only gives us a view into what the larger population is buying, but also trends in car park age, for example.
Thanks for clearing that up. So, what were the headline figures then?
Well, based on Autovista24 analysis of available data, the best performing used car market for the third quarter was Spain. Echoing its new car market, it led the big 5 in terms of volume growth, with a 7.4% improvement year on year. Italy was next with a 6.2% increase, in contrast to its new car sector, which struggled in the 3-month period. The UK saw a 2.8% increase in new car transactions, while sales in Germany rose by 1%, and France saw a modest 0.6% volume growth.
So, sounds like positives across the board then. Now, has this affected their year-to-date figures? Are all 5 also coasting towards a full-year improvement?
I would say 3 of the markets are. Based on Autovista24 analysis, Spain is up by 4.4% in the first 9 months of the year. Italy has seen volumes rise by 4%, and the UK is up 2.4% between January and September. But Germany and France need to be cautious. After the third quarter, the French used car market is only up by 0.8% year on year. In terms of growth, Germany is the worst performing of the big 5, with a 0.5% rise compared to the first 9 months of 2024. So it really is on a knife edge for those 2 markets. France had a good first quarter, but stable results in the following 2 periods have hampered growth. Germany, however, is the opposite, with stable results in the first and second quarters and better improvement in the third. While it would take a drastically poor fourth quarter for Spain, Italy and the UK to end the year with lower volumes in 2024, France and Germany really need a good performance in the last 3-month period to avoid that fate.
I'm already very excited to read the full-year review. Can't wait for that one. Now, I know petrol and diesel-powered cars have seen their dominance decline in the 5 countries' new car markets, with volumes falling quite significantly. Are we seeing the same story occur in the used car market as well?
The honest answer is no. We have detailed data from 3 of the 5 markets, France, Spain and the UK, and in each of those markets, internal combustion engines dominate. In Spain, diesel led the way. In the first 9 months of the year, it suffered a decrease in volumes, but of just 0.2%, and held a 52.3% share of all used car transactions in the period. Petrol, in contrast, accounted for 37.6% of sales. Diesel also dominated in France. If we focus on August, the fuel type took a 40% market share. Now, in the same month, for contrast, battery electric vehicles accounted for just 3% of used car sales. In the UK, it's petrol that leads the way, with a 56.6% market share in the third quarter alone. Diesel made up 32.6% of transactions in the 3-month period, meaning internal combustion engines held 89.2% of the market between July and September. The UK figure also gives us a good insight into the diesel market in particular. In the same 3-month period, just 24,394 new models were registered. This may be down to car makers not offering as many diesel models, and it's clear that even with a diminishing supply, there is still demand for the powertrain in the used car sector. This could mean that average car park ages will rise, as supply into the used car market gets increasingly older. In the UK, for example, the average age of a car is 9.5 years, compared to 8 years in 2019.
So I'm going to possibly ask you the hardest question yet, Phil. If you had to summarise and maybe look into a crystal ball, what do you think will be the main talking points going into the final stretch of the year?
That is a good question. I'm looking forward to seeing how each used car market performs. In Germany and the UK, the fourth quarter is traditionally the slowest of the year, and for Germany, that presents more of a risk to its total year figures, with their numbers currently balanced on that knife edge. I am impressed with the performance in Spain in both new and used car markets, while France is showing that vehicle purchasing at the moment across both sectors is an issue. And we have seen the introduction, reintroduction, or amendments of incentives for new electric vehicles in France, Italy, Spain, and the UK this year. So for 2026, there may be more supply into the used car market, and perhaps of internal combustion engine models. The balance between these and electrified powertrains is certainly going to be one to watch in the coming months and years, and that's what I'm most excited to be tracking.
Thanks very much, Phil. So many great insights packed in there. Now, do you want to know all the details from these 5 major used car markets in just one place? Then be sure to check out Phil's in-depth article on autovista24.com. I'll put a link in the show notes below. For more value-packed content that can help you make better and faster decisions in an ever-changing market, sign up for our email, which brings the latest industry trends and news straight into your inbox. It's as easy as heading to our homepage and scrolling to the sign-up form at the bottom. Now, if you want to know the key trends that will shape the global new car market in 2026, then be sure to join our webinar on the 25th of November, where you'll gain exclusive insights that will help you stay ahead of future developments. There'll be a link in the show notes to the sign-up page. But if you can't make it, don't worry. A recording will be available on our YouTube channel. There, you'll also find our What Is Explainer videos on essential automotive terms and topics, as well as our launch report series, which covers everything you need to know about the latest models hitting the market. And of course, subscribe to the Autovista24 podcast wherever you listen to us, to get your weekly dose of automotive knowledge in just over 10 minutes or less. Nissan will cut 87 jobs at its European regional office in France, Reuters revealed. This is the latest in a string of cost-cutting and restructuring measures made by the carmaker's CEO Ivan Espinosa, as Nissan aims to return to profitability. The brand is targeting a 15% cut in headcount, alongside reducing its global production capacity by nearly 30% to 2.5 million vehicles, and dropping its number of manufacturing locations from 17 to 10. Toyota has announced it will invest up to $10 billion in the US over the next 5 years. At the same time, the carmaker has now kicked off production at its battery manufacturing plant in North Carolina, which marks an investment of nearly $14 billion and the creation of up to 5,100 new jobs. According to Reuters, batteries from the Toyota facility are set to power a yet-to-be-announced 3-row battery electric vehicle, among other models. Volkswagen Group and Rivian have released more details on their joint venture called RV Tech. The former plans to invest up to $5.8 billion in the joint venture and Rivian. The two brands are developing a zonal architecture for software-defined vehicles, or SDVs. The architecture will be tested on Volkswagen Group vehicles in the first quarter of 2026. It will then be deployed in the OEM's upcoming electric vehicles, including the Volkswagen ID Everyone, which is scheduled to launch in 2027 as the group's first vehicle featuring the architecture. Rivian will use the technologies created for its R2 model, launching in the first half of 2026. Volkswagen Group also said the technology could be used in internal combustion engine models at a later date, according to Reuters. There's been a lot of news surrounding international trade this week. The EU's industry chief, Stefan Sijorny, said that the European Union needs to defend its car industry from Chinese competition, including a reassessment of its 2035 zero-emission target for new cars and vans. According to Reuters, Sijorny said the EU should also look at diversifying its exports and set new rules to safeguard European production. He warned Italian newspaper La Stampa that if we do not intervene, in 10 years, the cars produced and sold in Europe will fall from 13 million to 9 million. The EU is expected to review the target by the end of this year. Also this week, the US and China suspended port fees on each other's ships for 1 year, according to Bloomberg Law. This comes as General Motors has directed thousands of its suppliers to pull their parts supply chains from China, Reuters reported. Executives from the carmaker told suppliers to find alternatives, and for some companies, General Motors has set a deadline of 2027 to close their supply ties with China. A big thanks goes to Autovista 24 special content editor Phil Curry for appearing in and co-producing this episode. Additional thanks go to Autovista 24 editor Tom Gegus. The music was Better Find a Solution Fast by Richard Ames. Thanks very much for listening to the Autovista 24 podcast.